Hi everyone. Today I want to introduce you to Faststone Image Viewer. And I will open it up here. Faststone Image Viewer is probably one of the most useful programs that I have on my computer. And today I'm going to give you a quick overview of what Faststone will do. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to do some very basic adjustments with Faststone. So what I use Faststone Image Viewer for, number one, it's extremely fast at viewing raw files, even faster than Lightroom. It allows you to do a screen capture a full screen or part of a screen. You can scan in images, you can scan in documents, and even multi-page documents. I actually use it for scanning in my documents and then sending them on to my accountant for taxes every year. It will launch other photo editors from within Faststone Image Viewer, so you can use it to view your images, and rather than edit them in Faststone, you can actually open them up in Photoshop or some other photo editor. You can do photo restoration with the Faststone Image Viewer. You can add watermarks to photos. You can use it for organizing your photos, because you can drag your images around and reposition them on the page. You can do batch processing, which includes renaming images, resizing images, and doing other types of adjustments to the images. You can make slideshows with Faststone. And of course, the most useful thing is probably making adjustments to your images. So speaking of adjustments, I want to go ahead and open a couple of images here and just do some very simple adjustments. Adjustments that would be most useful, say for instance, to a point and shoot photographer. So let's go ahead and open up this image. I will double click on it. And let me show you around the user interface here first. If you scroll all the way over to the left, you get a flyout menu. If you scroll all the way over to the right, you get another flyout menu. If you scroll up to the top, you have all of your thumbnails for the images in the file folder that you've selected. So that's basically how you navigate around. So this image has some obvious problems, which is pretty typical. I sometimes get an image like this myself. So the first thing obviously we want to do is go ahead and straighten this image. So if we come over here to the flyout on the left side, right up here under rotation, resize, and text, we can rotate the image 90 degrees left, 90 degrees right, or we can straighten it by any amount that we wish. So I'm going to straighten this image. I'm just going to click on that, and you can see over here there's a grid of horizontal and vertical lines, and just by changing this slider we can rotate the image one way or the other. So we're just going to straighten that image out. That looks pretty good right there. Click OK. And there we have the image straightened. Now this is a pretty good image, but the main area that needs to be emphasized here are all of the ladies that belong to Alpha Delta Kappa. So the next thing that we need to do, which I would recommend with this image, is to go ahead and crop it. And again, if we go over to the left hand slide out, we choose the crop board. We come up with this screen, and down here at the bottom we want to choose the aspect ratio, and if you click on this arrow it shows you all the different ratios that are available. The one most often used is 4:3. That fits an 8:10 photo, or a 5:7, or a 4:6. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 4:3 ratio, and there we see we've got a vertical crop, but we don't want that. We want horizontal. So if I just scroll down here to flip the ratio, I can uncheck that box and it becomes horizontal. So all we need to do now is to resize this by dragging these handles, this handle right up here. Just drag it, you left click, and then drag it and resize it to the size that you wish. Then you can go into the middle of the image and you can drag the crop window around so that you can crop it down. Now, when you have people in a picture, usually you want the heads of the people in the upper third of the image, and you can see here this grid is divided into thirds. So I'm going to crop this down even a little bit more, and then I'm going to move this about right here so that these heads are right in the middle of the upper third of the image. Okay, so we can come down here now and just click OK on the crop, and that looks a lot better. That emphasizes what needs to be emphasized. Okay, so the next thing I want to demonstrate is adjusting your colors. Again, if you go to the flyout, the first thing to try would be auto adjust colors. It doesn't work all the time, but most of the time it will pick up the proper color. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to give this a try. Okay, now that lightened up the image, and I really didn't care for that too much, so I am going to use the Control Z. Press the Control and hold it, tap the Z, and it will take you back to where you were. It will undo whatever you have done. So instead of using the auto adjust, I'm going to come down here to adjust lighting. I'm going to click on that, and down at the bottom you see we have several sliders that we can use to make adjustments. We have a contrast slider, a saturation slider, and a shadows and highlights slider. So the shadows and highlights slider is very, very useful. A lot of photo editors do not have the ability to change the shadows and change the highlights independently. For instance, if I take the shadows and I just want to darken the shadows, I can run this all the way down and the shadows become darker, but it doesn't touch the highlights. So let's go ahead and move that all the way up. I can do the same thing with highlights. I can move the highlights all the way down. It moves those down, but doesn't touch the shadows. So we probably don't need much adjustment here. It's actually pretty good. The only thing I think we really need to adjust here might be the contrast. Now bring the contrast up just a little bit, and we'll bring the saturation up a bit. And I think that image is looking pretty good. So I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to come over here and we're going to save the image as. We do not want to just click the save button because we will destroy the original image. I want to keep the original image, but I want to make a duplicate copy with all of these adjustments. So I'm going to click save as. And what I usually like to do is come down here to the file name, and I'm just going to call this 1085, and I'm going to call it V2 for version 2, and go ahead and save that. All right, so let's, I'm going to press the escape key, and let's go down and let's take a look at another image here. Here's an image of downtown Chicago. Okay, and this needs a little bit of help. we've got pretty dark areas here, and we've got extremely light areas here. So this is where our highlights and shadows are really going to come into play. So we'll go over here to the left, and we can try adjust colors, but I can tell you right now it's probably not going to work very good here. Brighten it up just a bit, which is okay. But I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use those highlights and shadow sliders. So I'm going to go back into this adjustment. And I'm going to bring up the shadows. These areas in here, this area in here is pretty dark. I'm going to bring those shadows up, brighten it up. And that's looking pretty good. These highlights over here, they're pretty bright. So I'm going to bring those down. There we go. And we could probably possibly bring up the contrast just a bit. There we go, looking pretty good. And the saturation. All right. I like that a lot. I think that image is pretty good. On all of your adjustments, there's a bar here that says hold down to see the original image, and we can do that. I'm going to press that, and you can see here's the original image, and here's the adjusted image. Makes quite a bit of difference. So I'm going to click OK, and we're going to go ahead and save this image as a version 2. So File, Save As, come down here right after the number here, just before the dot. I am going to put in there V2 and then click Save. Okay, so I've showed you the straightening, the cropping, and the adjustments. And basically, if you're a point-and-shoot photographer, that's all you're going to need to do. There are a lot of other adjustments in here that you can make and a lot of other functions that you can adjust. I'll let you experiment with those, and probably in the future I will be making some more videos to cover some of these other adjustments and effects. Thanks for watching.